Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Reference Point. I'm your host, Dave Cokerhook, and today I've got a guest that's joining us from the Santa Fe, New Mexico area. What we're going to talk about today is an area, sort of a new approach or a different approach to the question of marketing and how does a business find the clients that it needs in order to sustain itself and to grow. And with me today is Alan Hickman from Perfect Customers. Alan, good evening.
Good evening, Dave. Hi, it's great to see you.
Thank you, same here. So what time is it in New Mexico right now?
Right now it is about 8:12 p.m.
Wait till, so you're an hour ahead of us. All right.
Yes, we are.
Well, Alan, I really appreciate you joining me here on Reference Point. You and I have had opportunities to confer in the past, and I think that the subject matter of this discussion is going to be very relevant for people in not just in my community, but whoever will be able to see this online as well. Because what we're going to talk about is the area of a change in the way of marketing. Now, your company, Perfect Customers, has a different approach to the whole concept of marketing and finding the client base that a company might need in order to sustain itself. Can you give us a little bit of information about that?
Yeah, it's interesting, Dave. Traditional marketing is traditional because it always works for some people. Mm-hmm. And when you really look into, some people like T. Harv Eker, for example, is one of my favorite successful marketers. Oprah Winfrey, Donald Trump. And you take a look at them and you see that they seem to just be successful, and almost success and wealth seem to almost come effortly to them.
Sure.
And so, yet others seem to be stuck, in a rut, just getting by, trying to make money or wanting to earn money, doing what they love, but unable to. And they're studying all the same things. They're studying, going to, community college, studying marketing. They're doing lots of workshops, trying to learn that magic technique that these other people seem to have. Well, what we've discovered is really when we look into it, what's the difference between successful marketers and those people who are just really working hard at it and not seeming to succeed? Well, most people think that these successful marketers have some sort of advantage, that they're born marketers,
Yeah, well, that doesn't
or they
happen.
or they have something that the rest of us don't have. It's not true. Turns out that the real distinction is so simple that it gets overlooked. And that distinction is that successful marketers or entrepreneurs actually have developed the skills necessary to look inward and search their own heart and ask, does this resonate with me? And that's what our process is all about, is allowing anyone to develop those skills.
When you say I'm going to repeat something back. You said to develop the skills to be able to determine whether this resonates with me. And I want to go into that a little bit more. But one of the things that I have seen over the years, and I've been involved in sales and marketing for over 30 years, and the thing that they constantly talk about in any class is the 80-20 rule. You're going to put out your stuff, and you got to believe that maybe 80% of your profits, 80% of your sales is going to come from 20% of your marketing. They say that if you're going to be doing any kind of blanket marketing activity, whether it's through email posts or cold calling or direct mail, that if you're lucky if you get 1 or 2% results. But you guys talk about this concept of being able to determine what the ideal client would look like for your business and finding a way to, and that reality causes people to actually seek you out. Have I stated that correctly?
Yes. And so basically what we have is a process where you learn to develop those skills of looking inward and searching your own heart and seeing if that marketing technique that I'm using, if it's a mass blanket emails, does that resonate for me? That's where the success of traditional marketing comes from.
I'm sorry, say that again. That's where the
That,
success of
that's where
traditional marketing comes from?
Yeah, traditional marketing, it turns out that, again, what makes Oprah successful is not that she was a born marketer. I mean, for goodness sakes, Oprah was born into poverty in rural Mississippi to a teenage single mother.
Right.
However, at a very early age, she developed the ability to look inside of herself and answer the question, does that resonate with me? She has a great story talking about how when she was on the porch when she was like 11 or 12 years old and her mother was teaching her how to wash sheets. And her mother says, now, Oprah, you've got to learn how to do this because this is what you're going to be doing. And she talks about how she kind of looked inside of herself and said, that doesn't resonate with me. I don't think that's what I'm going to be doing.
So, when you talk about the concept of something that resonates with the individual, the entrepreneur, the business owner, are we talking in terms of what it is that my business is all about, or are we talking in terms of how I would relate to a communication? What kind of communication would move me? Therefore, I'm looking for people like that, and I want to put out the call for those kinds of people. Which is it?
Yes. Yes, that's it. All of that, and that's what I'm talking about. We have a process, a 4-step process. It's in our book, Being Attraction: What Love Has to Do with Business and Marketing, that trains anyone to be able to develop those skills for looking inward to then find what does resonate with me in terms of, am I going to do, does it resonate for me to do internet marketing? Does it resonate for me to do networking, go to a networking lunch, go to a breakfast? Does it resonate for me to send out an email? Does it resonate for me to have a billboard on the Jersey Turnpike? Or do I want to do a display ad in the New York Times? Whatever the traditional forms of marketing, what's been missing in the past is really connecting with how, does that resonate with me? Because if it doesn't resonate with me, and I go and take out a full-page ad in the New York Times, it's not going to resonate with my perfect customer.
So define a perfect customer for me.
Well, here at Perfect Customers, we define marketing as building relationship. Okay, so let's start from there. So a perfect customer, I have to look inside of myself and find out, well, what are those qualities? So, for example, I did a little attraction plan for our show tonight, right? Which I shared with you before the show. And so, quality, characteristic, and attribute of my perfect customer is that they're interested in developing their marketing skills and open to doing it from the inside out. That's a quality of my perfect customer.
Okay.
And so this sort of addresses that 80-20 rule. And I have a great example of the 80-20 rule and how it works in real life. So picture yourself in Dallas, in the new football stadium in Dallas. 103,000 people in the stands, and you're standing on the 50-yard line, okay? And you've got like 30 seconds to, talk about your business,
right?
And then you're gonna go, who are you gonna go and talk to? You got 103,000 people up there. Think of how overwhelming that is. Well, what if you could actually have a process that would allow you to say, not like the magic wordsmithing words, but allow you to say something so completely authentic about your business that an orange light would turn on the foreheads of your perfect customer. So then you get to go and speak to the people who had an orange dot on their head.
So
it's kind of like that.
What most marketing activity has in the past, at least in my exposure to it, has preached, is that you want to get out there with as many avenues, to as many locations, through as many different media as possible, because you don't have any idea who it is that's going to respond to you. And you're hopeful that you're going to get the kind of inquiry that comes back that'll allow you to sell your product or service and ideally make some level of profitability on it. So what I'm understanding you to say, Alan, and we've talked about this at other times too, but what I'm understanding you to say tonight is that it's possible for a business owner, for a marketing team in a company, to structure their messaging in a manner that's going to hit the key people, the people that we want to call us. One of the things that's happened for me in my business endeavors over the years is we get contacts from people that in no way, shape, or form would be appropriate for the product or service that we're offering. And so what I'm understanding you to suggest here is that it's possible to sort of eliminate that component from the activity so that you as the entrepreneur or your sales organization can be focusing their efforts where they have the highest probability of being able to close a sale. Am I stating that correctly?
Yeah, it's even greater than that. I'm here to put an end to hope.
An end to hope. I like that.
Yeah, there's no more hoping. It's all, this quality of being able to see. Traditional marketing says, let's go out there and take a look at the market, find out what people want, and then come back in here and provide it.
Right.
It turns out what your perfect customers want is what you want to provide. And so we've developed this four-step process that's outlined on the back of the book to, number one, niche marketing. Why is it important for me to identify my market? Well, because if I think everyone's my customer, everyone in Dallas Stadium, all 103,000 people are my customer, look how much time I'm going to waste, running through the crowd trying to talk to each customer. Are you my customer? Are you my customer? It's, you're running around trying to serve everyone, you end up not serving anyone.
Okay.
And so it turns out that the message that you want to deliver comes from within you.
Okay.
As in, like, what's perfect for me? What do I want to deliver? So that's where we describe the qualities, characteristics, attributes of a perfect customer, and then identify what makes my perfect customer tick. It's all about, again, developing that for successful marketing entrepreneur to have developed the skills necessary to look inward and search my heart and ask, what resonates for me? Because it turns out that's what resonates for my perfect customer.
So the key here then, what I'm understanding you to say is the key is you as a business owner, as a president of a company, as a manager, and whatever it happens to be, you really need to understand what it is that motivates you, yourself. What causes, yes. If I were to want to have this product or service that my company is presenting, what would it be about that would intrigue me, that would cause me to want to reach for it? Is that a fair statement? Am I stating that right? Okay.
Exactly.
So once we're able to define that, then you're saying you can use that concept to this, which I think was the second point that you made about what makes my perfect customer tick. If you can figure out what it is for you, it's going to be that way for some other X number of people.
Yes.
Okay? And so if we can define it for all of those X number of people that it'll resonate with, then I'm eliminating all the others. One of the things that this just strikes me, I do a lot of music, and they talk about harmonic resonances, how you can, if you hit the right pitch on a tuning fork, certain things will vibrate and other things won't. So what you're talking about here is being able to sort of find the right vibration, if you would, about your the concept of what it is that you're doing, whatever your product or service is. Fair enough?
Yes. You play golf?
I used to a lot. Not anymore.
Yeah, when you hit that perfect swing, and you strike the ball perfect, as that tuning fork goes off in your loins, and you can't wait to get back and hit the ball again.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what you're talking about there. That resonance. When I click with that resonance of what makes me tick, why am I here? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Then that resonance gets infused into whatever conversation you're having. And here's the thing. If you notice, there's a lot of changes going on in the economy. A lot of changes going on in business. Things that used to work aren't working anymore. Right. You know, and when I keep going back to these successful marketers like Oprah, Oprah gives us hope because, one, it's not that I want to be like Oprah, but Oprah is demonstrating that she looked inside herself and she recognized the gifts that she has to give. She recognized the purpose that she has to live, and she's living it. It turns out now that it's more painful to not give your gifts through the vehicle of a successful business, to not live your purpose, than the resistance and the tension that's necessary to go through the transformation that it takes for you to actually give your gift and live your purpose through your business.
So this is, and you hear this a lot these days too, doing what you love as opposed to, and trying to build an activity, trying to monetize that type of a thing. In other words, not just doing it for fun, but actually doing it in a way that is some level of exchange. And I can appreciate that.
Right. Because that exchange, money follows value.
Right.
And it's the exchange of value that produces true wealth. It's the exchange of value that Oprah has recognized within herself. Now,
but the value is going to have to come from something that is based on something about which you are fully passionate, as opposed to working as a clerk at a retail store if your passion is not helping people learn how to dress well.
Exactly. Oh, I got some stories about that I could tell you. See, I made some little cue cards for myself, and this one says, you have to value it first. This is one of the key points. If you value it, you have to value it first. If you don't value it for yourself, how's your customer going to experience the value of it?
Okay, so let's talk about this for a second from this perspective. Here I am, I have a business, and let's say I have a software company, and I'm developing a product that for various things or whatever, and over time I'm going to evolve that product. Does that make a change in how you define your perfect customer as your product or service evolves, or is it still the same kind of basic? I mean, what has to change, or does anything change with those kind of evolutions?
Yeah, so what stays the same is the process, is the skills that you use to develop your ability to look within yourself. Right. That stays the same.
Okay.
What changes is you. I evolve. As I evolve, my company evolves. Steve Jobs, perfect example. Look at the evolution that man went through.
Sure. Okay, so one of the things that I had written down here as a question, I look at this and it's just like, it's an obvious answer, was whether or not this approach is actually limiting in any way for a business. But it sounds like it's more liberating than limiting, because if you can if you can concentrate your efforts and your finances in a marketing perspective in a direction that has the higher probability of generating return, then you're doing the right thing. You're doing a much better thing for yourself and your business.
Yes.
Okay. So how do we go to I guess, moving forward from that, once we've identified what it is that causes me to say, woo, this is exciting, I can see other people who would be excited about this, and you define what that perfect customer looks like, then I guess you got to start packaging the communications, but then, and that's a whole other level depending upon how the medium is going to be. Is it a video? Is it an audio? Is it written? Is it?
For me, yeah. And the content of that packaging, the content of that audio, the content of that video, again, comes from looking inside of myself. For example, we have a graphic designer who does a whole process where she walks all of her customers through our 4-step process. And she's developed what she calls branding from the heart, where she'll go with our second principle, which is, getting what makes me tick, and she'll write down your tick words on one side, And on the other side, she writes down your products, services, and what she's offering. And it's amazing how she just connect the tick words with the products or services, and she comes up with these amazing expressions of an individual's business that are based on, really looking inward and searching their own heart.
And so if you're able to do that, and you've just successfully done that, then you've pretty much written your copy, haven't you?
Exactly. And not only that, you've energized it because I believe in the value of my product.
Right.
I'm like, I'm lit up about it. I'm passionate about it. And that's the key, Dave. It's no longer an option to not give your truest gift and live your purpose. It's now more painful to not do that, like I say, than it is to have to go through the resistance and the tension of the transformation that it takes to give your gifts.
So
your purpose.
Alan, you and Jan have been involved with this type of perspective on marketing for a number of years now. And I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here, and I'm going to ask you a question, and I know that there are certain specifics you can't give me, but can you talk about an example of how this really works in the real world?
We've got hundreds of examples of how this has really worked in the real world.
Sure.
What would you like? Tell me specifically.
I'm just, can we talk about a kind of a business where something like where you went through the process, somebody went, and what the difference in their results from a standpoint of sales activity, etc.
Great. I'll give you a perfect example. I had a really fulfilling experience here in Santa Fe not too long ago. Jan made an appointment at a hair salon for me to get my hair cut, okay? And I walk in, and the girl behind the counter is reading a copy of our book.
Right.
And she looks up, and she goes, "Oh, you're the author of this book." And so that was just like, I'm like, oh, wow. I mean, recognized as a published author. And then she takes the book, and she goes, because our picture's on the back, and she goes, "I love this book." She says, "Chapter 1 told me why I'm here." And she leans forward like she's telling me a secret. She goes, "I'm not just cutting hair." And so she got from reading our book and working through our process, what's truly valuable for her and what is her gift and her purpose and how she's exchanging that value. Now, while she was cutting my hair, she then explained to me what had happened as a result of her really getting her value as, a hairdresser, you might say, that's not all she was doing. There was something more. She doubled her prices as a result.
Doubled her prices. Okay, good. That works.
Doubled her price because she really got it, the value that she was for her customers. And then she said, "And you know what? I've got more customers than ever before."
Cool. So not only was she feeling comfortable about identifying the true value in dollars for the service provided, but she was able to bring in more clientele, okay?
Yes, because she got really crystal clear for herself what her true value was, what her true gift was, and her purpose as, wasn't just cutting hair.
So if we take a look at this from a product-related type of a business as opposed to a service-related type of a business, we got about 5 minutes left tonight is all we have left, and I'm sorry about that. But can you give me an example briefly of a product-related type of a thing?
Yeah, and actually it's all the same.
Right.
It works just the same whether you have a service or a product. So the key is, basically traditional marketing is we call about developing relationships. So just like the girl at the hair salon developed a relationship with herself, got the value of what she was delivering. The same thing works with widgets, gadgets, gizmos, whatever it is. I remember selling Kirby vacuum cleaners, and I can actually remember I sold a Kirby vacuum cleaner every time someone let me in their house.
Right.
And I never really understood why until later on. I realized that what I did was I developed a relation. When they let me in their house and I was in their living room,
Right.
I thought I was a member of the family. And I related to them in that way. And I knew there was not, I had the best vacuum cleaner in the world, 9 different tools, did 80 different jobs, and every job it did one step better than any other tool made for that job.
Right. But you believed it. You
I
believed it.
believed it, and I really got the
And I think
value
that's
of
part
it for them.
That's part of the thing that's I think an element of if you have a product related thing, you have to believe that whatever your product is, you have to know you developed it for a purpose. You have to know that it has value, and you have to believe and understand how it's going to improve a circumstance for whatever, whether it's an individual, another company, or what have you.
Exactly. If you can solve one problem for one person, you can have a successful business.
Cool. All right.
Second principle is if you've built one relationship with one person, you can successfully market any business.
Cool. We've only got a couple of minutes left in the show, and I want to make sure that the people in the viewing audience know that they can send an email to me here at info@referencepointtv.com. If you have any questions about this concept that Alan's talking about, the perfect customer activity, or want to know how to reach him, I believe your website was presented as part of the information that we show on you here. But folks, you can certainly send a message to me, and I'll make sure that Alan gets it if you have any specific questions about what he's got going. So Alan, in the last minute or so that we have here before we have to wind down, is there any other key point that you want to mention or restate relative to this concept of developing the perfect customers for your business?
Yeah, I'd say whoever's listening to my voice and watching this right now, you can start practicing developing your skills necessary to look inward and feel if anything I've said resonates with you. That's the practice. That's where it starts. And if it does, call me, write me, send me flowers, do whatever it takes. Go to my website, download the free report.
Exactly. Or send me an email and I'll make sure he gets it. Alan, thank you very much for joining me here on Reference Point. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your being here tonight, and hope this has been interesting and useful to you, and we will see you next time on Reference Point.